so not only did I make it easier by just freshly grinding the seeds and putting them in bags, so all people had to do was literally sprinkle the seeds on their food. They don't have to find the seeds, they don't have to measure them out, they don't have to grind them. All you have to do is remember to put it on food. But I also made it a way, you don't have to sink these bars, as we were just talking about earlier, but it is a way that if you're struggling, also just seed cycling, just adding it on food in general, all you have to do is eat a bar a day. It's basically like a multivitamin in a bar, and it's just really getting you all those nutrients times like 2.
I'm Rachel, and you're listening to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. Welcome back. Another episode that you're probably seeing the title like, what the hell is she talking about this time? I'm just as curious as you, don't worry. I have on a guest, as I tell you guys all the time. If I'm not an expert in something, I bring on the experts. And so today I have with me Julia Kormanski-Miller, all the way from San Diego, California. We met through the wonderful Jordan Jones, Jordan Danelle, as you guys have heard me talk about her several times on the podcast, and got connected through the wonderful world of Instagram. And here we are. Now I'm eating these bars that you sent me that are cacao, my most favorite flavor in the entire world, and just trying to support my hormones like every other woman out there, right? So thank you, Julia, for coming on to the show today and to educate us around seed cycling and all the things.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me too.
Yes. So tell us, I guess, should we just start like, what is seed cycling exactly? Just basic. And then we'll get into your story about how you are an expert in seed cycling and created all of these things that people can buy to support their bodies. I'm really excited to hear your story.
Yeah, so basically seed cycling is a nutritional remedy. So it's basically rotating different seeds. Mainly, it's not just the seeds, it's the specific nutrients found in each seed in different phases of your cycle. So there's so much we can go through later on, like within the 4 different phases. That's usually the most confusing part, is like, what do you mean like consuming seeds at different times of the cycle, when a lot of women think cycle means period and just when you're bleeding, but really there's 3 other phases. So we'll get into that. But basically there's just a lot about the menstrual cycle that a lot of like women don't know about, that we have 4 different phases. And within that, we have different hormonal fluctuations, we have different events happening. And so we also have different nutrient needs that can help support our bodies even more. And we're consuming specific nutrients found in these seeds. So that's really the basis of it. It's been a remedy that people have been using for decades, but obviously with, women coming off birth control so much now, like in this decade we're living in, like it's definitely something that's becoming something more well known, which is definitely a good thing. It's just getting back to like using food as medicine and the basics, but that's the basis of it, is just rotating different seeds within different phases. So,
which sounds so easy, right? But it's actually, I mean, your bars make it very easy, your products make it very easy, but it's actually, I remember, so I got off of birth control in 2021, I think, January 2021. So, a little over 2 years now. And so I started cycle tracking and all that stuff, before my husband got the vasectomy, because we're kid-free over here, making sure that doesn't happen. But that's when I started, I mentioned to you before recording, reading the book In the Flow. That was the book that really changed my perspective on womanhood in general and made me even think about getting off of birth control. But anyways, yeah, I remember reading in those chapters, her saying like, in this area, in this phase, you're losing the, XYZ nutrients. So eat these foods and these seeds and things to get those back. And I'm just like, who has fucking time for that? Like, I don't have time for that. I mean, I guess I can make the time, but like, who has time for that to like make sure you're meal prepping and doing all the things? And so that's why when, again, Jordan introduced us and I saw your products and stuff, I'm like, yeah, this seems like the easy route. I can just eat this thing and get the things to support my hormones. So anyways, that was a long rant to segue into how did you even think about creating something like this? What sparked your interest in this company?
So it's been definitely a combination of many things. I've always loved nutrition. when I was in high school. It's kind of a mix between two stories. I have a huge nutrition journey from just having a binge eating disorder in high school, which sparked me to go to school for nutrition. And so with that, I always knew I wanted to do something in that space, and like creating, I always have loved to do at a younger age. So just kind of really fell in my lap to like create more of like a food-based business. And working in juice bars all my life too, I've always loved just like making food, like making things are actually, when you give it to someone, it's like doing good for them. Like it's actually supporting them and helping them on their journey, making it easier, making it tastier, more fun, more convenient, all the things. But in terms of like the hormone health space, it was definitely when I went on birth control for 15, when I was for 15. When I was 15, I was not on for 15 years, I was on for 5 years. And it was funny because I got on it originally for not what you guys think of as like not sex at all. It was actually for my acne. Like it was so bad, and also just really awful, painful cramps. And that was always what I like the number one thing to pick was the birth control pill. It was the healthy option. It was like the natural option that I was told, compared to Accutane, which was like, when they say it was worse, I don't know how much worse it really was. But so I was on so the combination pill. I actually had a pretty good experience on. I always tell people that I didn't personally have like side effects when I was on it. So I did not come off of birth control, like help myself, like, combat these side effects that I was experiencing on the pill. It actually helped me so much just because there was so much hormonally going wrong with me that shutting off my reproductive system like completely helped my skin, obviously, because it's suppressing your oil production. But what I didn't know was that, again, just that I didn't know was actually suppressing my hormones. I thought with my skin clearing, it was regulating my hormones. That's what I was told. So when I learned that I was actually in a juice bar, I actually wasn't in school. It's always disappointing because when you're taught nutrition, you learn all like the science and things like that, but you're not always taught about things that you should know. You know what I mean? Like about birth control, like, I feel like some doctors aren't even sometimes told these things. They like read into the side effects to actually be able to like give them informed consent to their their patients. But that's how I found out about actually through a juice bar that I was working at. And I, like anyone else, when you hear about it, it's like, what? Like birth control? Like I think you're like wrong because my doctors did not say that to me. So I was always questioning it for a long time. And I finally just got off. So I've done a ton of research for like 2 years when I was in high school. And it was about the summer for my senior year. So I think it was like 20 years old. I got off of it. And that's when all my hormonal symptoms came. And that's when the product really came about. Was I had no period for a year. They told me to get back on the pill because it wouldn't come back. And I finally got it back naturally through just like reducing stress and focusing more on nutrition. And then I found seed cycling when I finally got my period back, and it was really irregular, really awful PMS, mood swings, period pain. Really, those were like the three things that I was really struggling with. Oh, obviously, my acne came back. So just like anything, you're on the pill, it's like a Band-Aid. That's just the biggest thing. People can do whatever they want. They can get on it if they want to. They can get off. Like it's up to you. But I didn't like that it was the Band-Aid fix and just made all my symptoms worse when I came off of it. So I had a really bad experience post birth control, which really made me realize when I did nutrition coaching, that was like what Manski's Wellness started off as, actually a nutrition coaching company. And I did that on the side for a really long time when I worked at a school district in North Carolina as a nutritionist. So that was when I was dealing with all like the post-birth control symptoms, and when I found seed cycling, because not only was I looking for like a food first approach, something just simple to add in, not just something found in a pill and like a supplement. Like I wanted something that, what can I do that's just like, just using food, something just so simple and something very gentle and safe as well. So I found seed cycling. It took me a while to finally do it just because of how confusing it sounded. Like sometimes when because I'm creating and selling the product, I think back to who I was and how when I heard about it, it was like, what on earth? Like cycling, I didn't know, there was different phases. That was so confusing. I didn't know any of that. So that was a very big, like that really refrained me from even starting. But just so many of my clients, I think that was really what it was, is I was doing an acne boot camp program. And I remember my clients really wanting like that food. Like some people still want to take supplements because a lot of people don't like when they take supplements and they go pee and it's like bright yellow. It's just because like it's not really getting broken down. Like a lot of it's excreted and food is what your body recognizes. And just so many people now are just looking for holistic approaches. So I was like, okay, like if you're dealing with hormonal issues too, and I am, like he was like I was the same as my client at that time. It was kind of like that was kind of a great thing at the same time as I felt like I was doing it alongside them. And so I could really kind of see like how everyone when they did seed cycling had a different impact. That's something we can get into is like so like people are all different when it comes to seed
Yeah.
cycling. I've had some women that in 1 month will have like no period pain, or maybe it's just like no breast tenderness, or like a little bit more of like a stable mood, bloating, those types of things. Some people take a little longer. It takes 2 to 3 months, etc. But yeah, anyhow, that was great. I bought bulk white bags and stickers, put stickers on my seed blends and shipped them out. It was like part of the program that I had. And I had a moment last year when I was like, I don't know if I want to continue doing service based, continue doing both, or just do product. I
Mm.
was so new and starting a practice, like anyone who started their own practice, like you should be 100% like, or if you're not, don't be doing two companies at the same time. That's just like so confusing to do, especially when they're so completely different. So I made the move to go all product based last year. And I'm just taking you through the whole involvement of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, please, yeah.
Stop. I'm not talking. This is like a long intro, but anyhow, that's when also the bar came about too. Was when I fully committed to product based, and I kind of saw some things in the seed cycling structure. Was that people also wanted it in like a very easy kind of consumable way. And so not only did I make it easier by just freshly grinding the seeds and putting them in bags, so all people had to do was literally sprinkle the seeds on their food. They don't have to find the seeds. They don't have to measure them out. They don't have to grind them. All
Mhm.
you have to do is remember to put it on food. But I also made it a way, you don't have to sink these bars, as we were just talking about earlier, but it is a way that if you're struggling, also just seed cycling, just adding it on food in general, um, all you have to do is eat a bar a day. It's basically like a multivitamin in a bar, and it's just really getting you all those nutrients times like two. It's like twice the amount of nutrients in the bars that are found in the seed blends. And that's another way you can, just sink your food to different phases of your cycle just to support your body even more. That's like the basis around it. I don't talk too much about the differences. We can get into it later, but that's like really kind of how it came about. Was like I said, it was kind of a combination of a few things. It was my own health journey. It was like my passion for nutrition and just kind of really, really seeing a gap that people needed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it came about. Yeah.
And I'm sure, I mean, even in just sharing your own story, like experiencing the acne, experiencing the mood swings, painful periods, all these things, it's like, and even just from my little research that I've done around this, the nutrients and things that you're putting in the bars are to help dissipate these things, So I think anybody listening, any woman listening to this can likely relate to one of those four things, have it either if it's breakouts leading up to your period, the moodiness leading. I feel like luteal phase is my worst enemy in life. Because it's just, I just want to burn everything down. But yeah, and so I think any woman listening to this, I think first it's that education around, as you said, your cycle is more than just menstruation, right? And so learning that there are those four different phases and what kind of your body, what happens to your body and your mood and your energy and your sex drive during each of those phases. But then to learn, as your product line introduces to us, that there are these natural health-based, food-based things that you can add into your diet that will help alleviate these things that we don't necessarily like about our periods, right? Which, yeah, when you said some people don't want to take, I am the supplement lady. Like, give me the easiest thing, like, okay, you want me to take magnesium for my anxiety and better sleep? Okay, boom. But then I find now, and my husband makes fun of me, I feel like I'm the old lady because I have all of these things that I take every day now. I'm like, okay, I do wish that there was one thing, or for instance, you mentioned like your bag things, like, okay, if I can just sprinkle these things in my protein shake every day, that would be the easier route for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, it just makes it so easy. That's the biggest thing with supplements is that I mean, not only, and there's a lot of things with supplements, like them not being regulated. Obviously, I do have a lot of trust for supplements because most people who are having a supplement company typically care about their consumer, but obviously that's a generalization and not everyone does. So that's one thing that a lot of people nitpick about supplements, but also you just don't know how well it's being absorbed. There's also like scientific studies showing how like food-based B vitamins, for example, they absorb best coming from food, not synthetic. And there's not a ton of research there with like supplements compared to like food, how much research is on those types of nutrients. So there's just a lot out there. Just a lot of people now are just looking for, like more safer, more holistic kind of ways to support their bodies and like a foundational level.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned, like when you take supplements and then you go pee and your pee is super yellow, like that's a sign that your body is not absorbing what you're taking. Am I correct in saying that? So
Yeah.
so for me,
Not everything. You can be absorbing some of it, but because when you think about it, you're taking a supplement, it's a lot.
yeah.
Typically a nutrients sound that's like a mega doses, not mega, but there are a lot. And so it is a question how much you don't really know.
Mhm.
That's sure you're getting some of it. They're not bad at consuming in no stretch, but it's just what could be better and what could be easier and a little more affordable too. Like typically food is more affordable as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you don't have, like mentioning with supplements too, a lot of times companies put all these extra things in them, right? Like all these additives that aren't really needed or like these filler things. I see that a lot in like proteins and things like that. And I'm like, what's the point? Like why can we just get, something a little bit cleaner? But, anyways, yeah. In terms of in terms of some of the things that you've chosen to put into your products, can you speak to a few of the ingredients that are in your things and how they would help relieve or which symptoms they target exactly?
Yeah, so we can start with the seed cycling kits. That was really what we started off with. So with that, the whole science behind the seeds, what's in them, like how they support different hormones, different events, is really going off of your cycle. So like flax and pumpkin are two great superstar seeds. I will say before we get into like the breakdown the nutrients, it's really important to consume them ground, freshly ground, like less than 2 weeks kind of thing, just because they are going to be more fresh, more absorbable, and they're just way better for your body. A lot of seeds like found in the store, especially ground flax, it's like a very fragile seed and it's not being refrigerated. It's just sitting there on the shelf, like life. It's just sitting on the shelf, basically not in the fridge. You don't know if those are rancid, especially because they're going from like come from a big, big, big store. And you don't know how long they're sitting on the shelf there. You don't know how long they were in the other place, like being manufactured, all those things. So they could be rancid. When it's rancid, it's causing more inflammation instead of decreasing inflammation. So that's what I always like to talk about is like make sure you grind them, make sure like freshly ground or being refrigerated, and make sure also that your seeds are breaking down because if you're eating them whole, they're not going to be bioavailable. Like the nutrients aren't going to be absorbed like they would if they were broken down. And so I'm like, oh, like, but I'm chewing them. Yeah, but if you ever notice when you go to the bathroom and you see a seed, that's like a great example of how you're not breaking it down. So you're not getting all those nutrients to get the benefits. And that's specifically for flax and sesame seeds. It's really important to have those breaking down. But pumpkin and sunflower obviously helpful too. So that's what we do is we freshly grind it. And about the benefits of each one, flaxseed particularly. So when you're bleeding to when you get to ovulation, you're going to be dealing with a few different events. So obviously your endometrial lining is being shed, you're losing blood. And so it's really important you're getting iron. And so the pumpkin seed and flaxseed blend both have iron to help replenish those red blood cells. I always say to people, one thing I did with the bar, something if you do have the bar, just consume the bar. But if you have the seed blends, make sure you mix it with some sort of like fruit or like add it on like a salad with like peppers, something like that, because the vitamin C from fruit or peppers like spinach or anything like that is going to help absorb the iron because it is a plant-based iron. So that's really important to make sure you're getting that in. If you're just consuming plant-based iron with like no vitamin C, it's really hard for your body to absorb it. That's called like a non-heme iron. So that's something important to mention, like with the nutrients and how to make sure you're consuming enough, making sure they're being absorbed properly. Because we have dates in the bar, it automatically, it's obviously got vitamin C in there, but that's one part of it. Then as you approach your follicular phase, that's when estrogen is the main hormone. So your energy is going to be higher. You're going to want to consume foods that are going to be higher in like phytoestrogens. So the lignans that are found in flax basically are phytoestrogen too. They're kind of used interchangeably, but this is going to help support estrogen levels. So this is really important because estrogen is really going to help prepare your body for ovulation, like help thicken the uterine lining. And it's just also a crucial hormone. Overall, you want to make sure you're having enough, but not too much that you're estrogen dominant. So flaxseed is a really important seed to have. That is also, again, in the pumpkin and flax blend that you consume when you're seed cycling. Mm-hmm. And you're also going to have omega-3s found in the flax. So flaxseed is one of those like top omega-3 rich foods alongside hemp seeds and walnuts. On the topic of omega-3, we also have 600 milligrams of omega-3 in the bars. And so that's how you're getting it in there compared to the seed cycling blends. But the seed cycling blends, it's only high in omega-3 in that flax and pumpkin blend. So that's why I say you don't necessarily have to cycle sync the bars because it has all the nutrients the seed cycling blends have in the bars. Like in every single bar is that same micronutrient kind of base with those different ingredients. But that's like the difference there. And it's also zinc found in the pumpkin and flax. So this is really important in your follicular phase because you're going to really have, you're going to have to make sure that you're supporting ovulation, like healthy egg, all of that, healthy egg growth, all those things, and also supporting healthy androgen levels. So that's like the research fact, like zinc's really helpful for helping with regulating androgens. A lot of women who have PCOS particularly, zinc has been something that's been found very helpful. So that's also something that's found in the Glow blend. And then you shift to the sesame and sunflower blend. That's ovulation to your next period. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be sunflower seeds is going to have like B vitamins and specifically vitamin E. So vitamin E is really important for producing progesterone. So progesterone, again, that's the main hormone in your luteal phase. So after you ovulate, you want to make sure you're producing progesterone. Not everyone produces progesterone because, as you know, like stress also that was always my problem when I couldn't get my periods. I had low progesterone and I didn't realize that my stress contributed to so much of those symptoms that I was experiencing. But anyhow, vitamin E, really important. That's found in the sunflower seeds. You also have B vitamins, both in that blend, sesame and sunflower, and especially B6. That's another great nutrient that helps support progesterone production as well. And we also like selenium to support the liver, which is your main detox organ, which is going to help excrete excess estrogen. And you're also going to have magnesium is found in both blends, but there's magnesium is obviously a really important mineral as most Americans are deficient in magnesium. So you want to make sure you're consuming that through a lot of magnesium rich foods. And that's when both the blends come in. And also iron is going to be higher in this blend too with the sesame and sunflower to help prepare your body for ovulation. But particularly in the luteal phase, the seeds that like the main superstar nutrients that are found in the seeds are going to be like your B vitamins and selenium and also vitamin E. So that's like the basis of them. In the bars, that's what the nutty cacao one you were talking about. That one's going to have the sesame seeds and the sunflower butter. So that one's like very like seed cycle based. And we add superfoods to this one. So it's not just sesame, not just sunflower. You're also getting cacao powder for an even higher amount of magnesium, which is really going to help with mood specifically during this time and help with energy from the B vitamins from the seeds. And we also have ashwagandha, which is a really crucial adaptogen that helps with like your stress response and also helps with mental health and anxiety during this time too. And also beet powder is found in this one. That one's really great for circulation. So this is just wonderful because as you're preparing for your period, like you want to make sure you're having that before you're like losing blood. So that's a little bit about, I tried to like talk about both without being confusing. So that's like the breakdown kind of everything, like science back with the different nutrients, what's happening kind of in the cycle very briefly. But if you want to like touch on anything there, we can as well.
Yeah, I just want to point out just the intention that you put into each of your things. Like every single ingredient that's in these products is for something. You're not adding in the extra shit, like we talked about, like all these extra additions. And if you did add something in like cacao, right, it's like only to help boost you even more. And then just several of the ingredients that you that you have mentioned, some of which I have not heard of, but others like ashwagandha and cacao and flax seeds, like these are, maybe the ashwagandha is a little bit new for people as sort of like the mushroom research increases.
Yeah.
But I think like flaxseed in general, right? Like I can remember my grandma telling me to eat flaxseed, and like she would sprinkle flax seeds on her cereal every morning to like help her be regular, and and she would eat her dates and things like that. So it's like as you said, these things are ancient things that we've been doing, but somewhere along the way we got away from that. And I think, partly me, as I said, like taking more of like the laziness approach to it, people just, if it takes too much time, people aren't going to do it, right? They're more apt to going and eating the fast food, or like going with whatever is easy for them to make in the fridge and not putting the time into their food. And yeah, I will own that shit. Like I am definitely guilty of that. I'm the one that goes for the convenience factor. So the fact that you also put yourself into the shoes of people like me to make something that is convenient for us, I thank you for that. Because yeah, I think that is the biggest thing that has stood in my way of getting more consistent and serious about seed cycling for myself.
That's very common for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And, talking periods and stuff and menstrual cycle, it's a pretty common thing that we have on this episode, but just in general for women, and maybe we already spoke to this, but really to double click on it, what are really some of the benefits that a woman would see if she starts to implement seed cycling into her life?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's what I get all the time. So like I said, everyone is different when it comes to seed cycling. Some people try to like cookie cutter everyone and say, oh, this is going to happen during this time. And this one, no, like everyone's so different. That's because everyone's coming from not only like a different background, a different like health history, a different lifestyle. Like if you're working out, if you're drinking water, if your diet's already like pretty nutrient dense, all these things play a factor with how seed cycling is going to give you like effects and how it's going to impact you. Everyone's so different. So that said, typically the most common things that people notice, well, right off the bat, the most common feedback that I get, obviously the period pain, bloating is a big one, and also mood and breast tenderness. And I would say 5. So I would say these definitely rotate. Period pain definitely is probably the most common. And then bloating is something I was actually surprised about so many people with bloating. Had feedback. That's not really, it's a hormonal. Obviously, a lot of things are hormonal, but that's obviously more like digestion and gut as well. And when you think about it, it's because when they're ground, you're able to absorb the nutrients. Sometimes whole seeds can actually bloat some people, but the fiber content is so high in these seed blends. So some people aren't used to getting fiber in all the time and getting it from these types of foods, these seeds. They're going to have a better bowel regularity going on. So people don't tell me the bowel regularity part, but I know that's what's helping with their bloating.
Yeah.
So that's a common one. And also mood. And when you think about it, when you're supporting your hormone, especially supporting progesterone, it's really going to help support your mood. So many of the nutrients help boost like serotonin and dopamine, especially B vitamins like B6 in particular, and magnesium. All those are great for like your nervous system, which is going to help with your mood. So that's a big one as well that people get feedback on. And everyone's different when it comes to how fast it happens. Like I said, some people it is within 2 weeks that I get like the bloating thing, or I usually get in 3 weeks, like, oh, my mood's usually like I'm more irritable at this time. I'm not, or my boobs aren't sore. Like I was not expecting my period. That's a big thing. Some people are like, oh, I got my period. And they were like, I didn't even have any symptoms like leading up to it. So that was how I was too, like my personal experience. My cycle is very irregular when I started, and I just got my period and like I didn't really have many symptoms showing that. So that's a big one. But I do say up to 3 months to see full effects. Just so that an egg does take 90 days to mature. So any type of hormonal symptoms, anything like that, it will take a while. And obviously period pain is because of when you think of like excess prostaglandins, those are what's contracting your uterine to shed the uterine line, or contracting the uterus to shed the uterine lining. But if you have too many of the prostaglandins, it can also contribute to period pain. And so not only do the omega-3s and these to help with that, but also magnesium is going to help decrease the prostaglandins. And that's the basis of that. And then also with regulating the cycle. For a lot of women, also they use seed cycling to like get their not necessarily get their periods back. 'Cause for someone it is, for some women it is that, but also it is because their cycle's really irregular. So women can also go by the moon cycle and do it that way, and helps nudge your cycle back into a more optimal state. And like I said, everyone's just so different. I would say 1 to 3 months, because some women do get effects within 1 month, but you can never say to someone that because you really don't know.
Right.
But those are the 5 top reasons why people seed cycle, like what the most feedback has been on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fascinating. And again, for people listening, like who wouldn't want less mood swings before their period, less moodiness, or period cramps or anything like that. Of course. And so for your product line, just so we are clear, so you have the bars, which we talked about, which is you basically eat a bar a day, and it's the kind of double the nutrients, like very convenient way of getting all of the things. But then you also have the powder, when you were saying kind of the bags. So you have the powders that then people can either sprinkle on food or put into a shake I don't think anybody would just like eat it as a spoonful. I would imagine not. Though that's how I take mushrooms, like a fucking weirdo, but to each their own. But yeah, is that correct? So you have kind of those two different options.
Yeah, the seed blends were the first product. So people just add 2 tablespoons every single day on top of their foods like soup, salad, smoothies, oatmeal, yogurt, anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will be looking into the bags of powder, because for me, if I'm eating a protein shake every day, like it's so convenient just for me to be able to add them in there rather than even remembering to take the bar, or sometimes I feel I'm not. There's many reasons, but this is great. So in terms of seed cycling, is there anything that you think is worth mentioning before we wrap up here that we didn't cover, or that I didn't ask you, perhaps, that people usually ask you even?
I would say some people ask us a lot, like, oh, what happens if I take the seeds at a wrong time, or what happens if I skip a day? It doesn't matter. I always have to say that it's just food. You have no idea how many people have come up to me and like are scared that like something's gonna happen. And I'm like, it's just food. And I think just for so many things, so many supplements out there sometimes maybe could kind of cause a negative interaction. You're taking something that I get what people are coming from with that, but just a reminder that like it is just food. So that's the best thing, is that's a very safe and gentle way to support your body. There is no right or wrong. So if you're seed cycling and you're like doing it wrong, it's not going to hurt you by any stretch. And if you skip a day, it's totally fine. I would just say you double dose the next day and do 4 tablespoons instead of 2. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. And like I think I briefly talked about it, but if you don't have a period or it's irregular, go by the moon cycle. That's a way to take like flax and pumpkin on the new moon. On the full moon, you take the sesame and sunflower blend. So that's the 2 differences.
Yeah. So treating the full moon as if you were menstruating. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like 28 days, because it is 28 days as well. So basically with the seed blend, it's like 14, 14, or whatever you ovulate and get your period, you're switching the 2 blends. So the moon cycle just already does it for you.
I always feel so witchy when I start my period like on a full moon. Like when it lines up to be the same day, I'm like, I am a witch. Like this is meant to be. And I just think I'm like, it's gonna be such a magical month for me. Like that this is happening. It's so fun. But because I have somebody close to me in my life that has very much what you were describing, like irregular periods, very painful periods when it does happen, struggles with the acne and things like that. And so I think that this is definitely an episode that I'll be sharing with her, and a product that I'll be sharing with her for sure. So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Julia, for this conversation today. And if people are wanting to either get in contact with you or order their products, where do you recommend that they find you?
Yeah, so you can go on manskiswellness.com. That's MANSKIS wellness.com. and you'll just see a bunch of different options, like subscription-based options, non-subscription for the bars and the seed kits. And also on my Instagram, I'm at Manskis_wellness. And if you have any questions, you can direct message me through there, or you can also email me. Totally up to you if you have questions.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll make sure to link your Instagram in the show notes here, and then also the link for people to order as well. But yeah, definitely, I think if you're listening to this and any part of this conversation has piqued your interest, you could be like me, like try it, get a 30-day thing, like try it for 30 days, see how you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you don't like the one thing, maybe the other option is better for you. But I will say that there are some things in my day-to-day things that I don't necessarily like, but they have helped my body and my mood and other things. So I kind of just suck it up and go with it because it's working, right? So it's like the beauty is pain, like health is sometimes not tasty. Is what,
oh my goodness.
I don't
usually people like doing the seeds, so
I know. Well, and yeah, when you're saying like flaxseed, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, like that, all of that stuff sounds so tasty to me. So I'm excited to try the rest of my bars. I've only tried like I said, the nutty cacao one. So I'm excited to continue trying these and then to try the powder blend too.
Yeah, if you guys are confused what she's saying, the bars taste good, I promise you. I've sampled these for 6 months plus. So she doesn't like cacao. So that's why she doesn't like nutty cacao. But yeah, so if you like cacao, you probably won't like the nutty cacao guys. But if you like cherry berry and like that type of stuff, or if you like chai, that's like the most popular right now in San Diego. It's huge, is the chai spice. It tastes like cinnamon, ginger, turmeric, and clove. But yeah, they're still very sweet. They are sweet with date, but they're very soft. So they're not going to be like an RX bar. I get that comparison all the time before people compare them.
Yeah.
But mine's more seed based, has adaptogens, spices, and also grass-fed collagen to support the gut. So that's like the main differences. But definitely try them. You will love them. If you have any feedback, definitely let me know. But yeah, and the seeds taste so good. They're so soft and they do great. They do great sprinkle on anything. So you'll like them. It's something people really enjoy doing every day. So
yeah, I was impressed by the consistency of the bar because it reminded me almost of like a Nutri-Grain bar. Like you said, like very soft, very squishy. It wasn't like I was like crunching into a chip,
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like a typical protein bar texture. I do get that feedback a lot, which people actually like that it is more like it's really soft. So it is like a cookie kind of like texture, but not as like, it's not gonna taste like a cookie, like super sweet or anything like that.
Yeah. Yes. And to just be fair, when I run cacao ceremonies, I am the only one in the circle that does not like the cacao. Everyone else does like it. So I am the outlier here. So just because I said I don't love the nutty cacao, that does not mean that you listening will not love the
Poor nutty cacao. Poor nutty
weirdo here. Like
no, that's funny. That makes so much sense though. Yeah, because it does not taste like chocolate. I always tell people it's not a chocolate bar. It's like a cacao bar. So thank you for pointing that out because that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. I don't want people to be like, well, if Rachel doesn't like it, I won't, because it is complete. If Rachel doesn't like it, you probably will like it actually, because I eat like a toddler. So yeah. Well, thank you again. So we kind of sidebarred there for a minute, but thank you again so much for coming on, having this conversation. Again, we'll link everything, and yeah, definitely give Julia's Instagram page a follow. I love your reels, like super educational, to be able to see your content and just consume this information. Obviously this podcast is like a good way of consuming it, but if you want it just like in little bite-sized chunks, Julia's Instagram is a great place to be. So
thank you. Thank you for having me on here. I so enjoyed this and talking with you and meeting you. This was like we talked a little bit before this, but
same. One day I'm going to make my way to San Diego and I'll meet all of the cool people that Jordan has connected me with.
I love that. Good.
Thank you so much again.
You're so welcome. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you really fucking loved it, make sure to tag me on social media at @TheRachelMain. I'll see you next week.